From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok, and this is a very fun, challenging edition of Star Wars Ranked. We're ranking our favorite characters in Jabba's palace, and to do that, of course, Joseph Scrimshaw and Miss Jabba's palace, Jennifer Landa.
That's right. I'm Jennifer Landa. I once had on my Facebook profile that I was a dancer at Jabba's palace. Very near and dear to my heart.
I would like to be a drummer who just hits a gong every once in a while, like Akrev and Oompa Stay. There we go.
What a jump. Jen, did you say Facebook or Spacebook? I heard Spacebook.
No, Spacebook would be fun. Unfortunately, it was Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You out there know the drill. We are going to work together as a team. Maybe. We'll see. It's not a competition, but it turns into a trial of the heart and trust in a fun way. We are going to rank 10-1 our favorite characters in Jabba's palace. One thing we'll say right now is Jabba himself is off the table, kind of in the Hall of Fame. It's Jabba's palace. So we're kind of looking at the people around him, the hangers-on and the bangers-on, as if he's a rock star, and there's a bunch of people just in his hotel room who he doesn't quite know. Might be the case. We're going to have fun going through this, but Joseph, I'll start with you on the pregame here. This is obviously very difficult. All of them are difficult, but there's a lot of factors from what you saw as a kid to where you go now.
Yeah, I mean, the deep dive, some of these characters, like when we were doing more Star Wars trivia, I was like, I want to know the name of that character, and I couldn't even find it. And would find like, oh, that character didn't have a name until like 2018 or 2023. Those layers of some of the really clear characters that a lot of people know, to the ones that I fell in love with because I had action figures, to the ones that are deep background that you really only find if you're doing like a forensic CSI level scrub, like coding the screen with luminol to find the weirdo in the background level characters. I like the levels in Jabba's palace.
There's a lot of levels. Literally, if you play the video games, you can go down a few levels here. And yeah, when putting together my list, there was some like, oh, that's obviously going to go there. And then there were some ones, I've been kind of scrolling through, just looking on a random search result page that I found. I don't even know what it was. They did a good job of just putting all the pictures that are mostly just stuntmen in costumes. And I'm like, I like that guy. That guy totally was one of my favorites as a kid, but I don't know if I'll make the list. And you're right, Joseph, looking up the list even today in 2025 going, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they had that name. That's cool. But Jen, we turn to you now here. You have built a reputation and love in Ewoks, but I'd say even above that, it's a love of Jabba and his palace. Where do you start with this in your heart?
I have watched this sequence of Jabba's palace so many times, and yet, because of the way it's shot with so many of these characters in the shadows, I still am like, oh yeah, there's that weirdo in the background, right? I mean, sometimes some of them I really can't even see. I was just trying to look before we were on air, and I'm like brightening my screen. I'm like, is that right? But that's part of the beauty of it. I love discovering new things and learning new things.
I love it. Even just today, I not making my list, but he almost did. So he all can make yours, but I'm just gonna say their name down. Pukamir Thyris or Cyrus is the guy that goes what when overlooking the rank car. And I'm like, I grew up. That's one of my favorites, but I'm not choosing him today. But you might as well. So this is going to be fun as always. Everyone else is on the table outside of Jabba. It means we can get some big names, and I'm, we love the special editions here, faults and all, if you want that kind of disclaimer, but we do love them, which means...
I think Jennifer's face might have some disagreement with the we all.
Oh, okay.
I was like, speak for yourself.
Okay. Please. So... Well, let's talk about this here, Jen. I mean, so if one of us chooses Dengar, who is a special addition to Jabba's palace, is that okay? Where do you go?
So we're splitting hairs. Yeah, it is complicated, right? Because my mind, when I think of special edition, I think of Joe Yowza, terrible. Jedi rocks, sucks. Replacing, obviously, we know we've talked about ad nauseum the Yub Nub celebration. I mean, Yub Nub song versus victory celebration, right? So, but when you mention that, that's a cool addition that I forgot. So, all right.
First of all, check out that Subjective Wars that got pretty
Mm-hmm.
passionate over the Ewok song "Open Up" versus Victory Celebration. All right, Jen. Yeah, okay, got it. I respect it. Hear it, Joseph. Look, Joseph. Over the years, you've dealt with both Jen and I, maybe having some Joe Yowza issues, some Jedi Rocks issues, and I know it's it's not the first thing you put on when you watch Star Wars. But how do you feel about Dengar being there?
I'm great with Dengar being there. Jedi Joe Yowza in the camera down his throat and the quality of the Jedi Rocks rock and roll song versus the weird and dirty nightclub jazzy Lapty Neck. I absolutely prefer Lapty Neck, but as we've talked about many times, there's parts of things that you love where you're like initially like I'm so mad at that, and then you kind of start to enjoy being mad at that, and then eventually you're like, yeah, I kind of like that. Like I think I like Joe Yowza and Jedi Rocks from the perspective of George Lucas coming back and going, I always meant this to be a bigger production number. I always meant this to be like a big musical number dropped in the middle of a Star Wars movie, and I think Lapty Neck in the original is better, but I kind of appreciate it for being this weird abomination that it is. And I really do, because I'm a drummer, I like the drummers. I like Akrev and Oompa Stay doing their just very bad, barely unbeat banging of loud gongs that don't quite match the soundtrack.
I am mad at George. I think it was such a mistake. I think that I mean, we're going to go on a tangent, but Lapty Neck is much more authentic, much more realistic to what we would actually find in a Hutt's palace. Like, it looks like a cabaret act in some seedy nightclub. Jedi Rocks is like a full-on production. That's just absurd. And like the visual effects, oh gosh, I could get really upset about this.
You're speaking some truths, and people are nodding along. This is a Subjective Wars, a one-sided one within Star Wars Ranked. All right, I was just setting the table, setting the players out there, so that way, if because I remember. God, it might have even been an old Schmodown. At some point, someone said something about Dengar in Jabba's palace, and I was like, "Get the hell out of it!" He wasn't in there, and I literally had to be shown like a screenshot from special editions that he walks into the frame, and so it's a Dengar question, I guess, maybe. I don't know. All right, we're gonna begin our list 10-1. Jen, you're going first. Me second. Joseph third, meaning the 8th, so that I can build to Jen with 1 and Joseph to number 2, just so you know where you're going here today. But Jen, we'd be honored if you kicked us off with your number 10 choice of your favorite character in Jabba's palace.
Okay, number 10. So here's a question for you both. How do we want to go like most obvious greatest hits? Do we want to go with our like passion weirdo? Like how far do we want to go? You know what I mean?
Look,
deep in the weeds.
When we first launched Star Wars Ranked, the word best was thrown around a lot. Best, because that's kind of how you're taught to create in this space. The best. Then over the years, we changed it to favorite because I think that just resonates more. It's a little more fun, and it opens the door to your favorites out there. So, Jen, I say favorites.
Okay.
I say favorites, not necessarily best. All right?
Okay. How many choices do I get? 3?
You have 4.
Wait, 4. Okay. All right. Great. I know where to go. I'm going to say for the number 10, and she should be probably higher, but I just got to get her in there, my girl Ula. Ula, I'm sorry.
10?
Yeah,
no,
number 10.
Okay. I'm thrilled because then it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, I love Ula. I don't love what happens to her, perhaps, which is why I'm putting her higher on the scale here. But the fact that she is this incredible dancer, she's dancing for her life, and then to see her in the trap door, which to this day, if children watch it like mine did, it's incredibly traumatic. It's horrific, but it also like sets the stage for who Jabba is, what kind of place he's running, right? And I think that it was incredibly effective. The costume obviously is a little controversial. Over the years, my kids were like, "What is going on with her outfit?"
The 80s. The kids, it's 80s kids.
Yeah, but it kind of works because they painted her with body paint, right? So it doesn't look as like scandalous as it really is. But yeah, I'm going to put her at number 10. She should be higher, but I just want to be safe.
Look, I would, yeah. Would I put her higher? Yeah, but I also think that's the fun of this list, and it's securing a spot here. So I'm with you on this. Love the character. We put a long time ago. We put a Star Wars in memoriam. Our buddy Kevin Smets helped put it together. It's one of my favorite things Kevin did for us because it touches into a lot of her legend stories, but a dancer and dancing, in her mind as this horrible stuff's going around her. So I think, you have to have her there, and the fact that Femi Taylor came back for the special editions and was getting to play the role again and some extra footage. I think there's a lot to the character to celebrate, despite the tragedy around it.
I'm thrilled with that pick because she was. I have a list of about 13, and I only have 3 picks. And anytime that anybody picks somebody who's on my list, makes my life better. And Ula, I think, deserves to be on this list because she has a really cool character. I think that not just the legend story, but just what you see on screen and knowing that she is a person trapped in a horrible circumstance. There's something about her to me that's always come off as like not just a victim. There's something, that there's a sense of character about her. I think because Femi Taylor did an amazing performance along with Bib Fortuna establishing Twi'leks on screen, on screen, and fabulous performance, and what an amazing thing to come back 16 years later. That I've been waiting for somebody to ask me that trivia question forever. Like, who's the only actor who returned to shoot new material? Femi Taylor.
Yeah.
Look, Jen, you laid it down. You raised the bar. You set the standard there early. That's a great pick at number 10. I'll go with my number 9 here and look at it. See, this is where I can get really cute. This is where I could go with my heart, and I am unsure which direction to go. So I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with something that I connected with in 1983, especially because it was the sequences you just said, Jen, traumatized me as a youngster until I realized it was just a little puppet. It was a little puppet, my parents said. See, look, there's this guy, Phil Tippett, and he's working on it. It made me feel better about the Rancor. But one of the things that also made me feel better about the Rancor was that someone loved it. And that's because Malakili cried. Malakili is my number 1 choice, a.k.a. the Rancor keeper, of course, for action figure collectors back in the day. And for a good couple years, I thought it was George Wendt playing. I think that was a shared experience with many people. It would make sense with Ratzenberger being in Empire, right? But I just love the character. I love the moment. It's comedy. It's played a little for comedy, but there's a truth there. And this Rancor keeper had a connection with this creature. And then to come back a little bit later with the new Rancor keeper, Danny Trejo's character in Book of Boba Fett, and seeing the other side of Rancors and that they aren't what society wants them to be necessarily, and all those things, I can apply that now. But as a youngster, terrified, shaking in my seat at the Fair Oaks Theater in Arroyo Grande, California, and then seeing this guy cry over it, it made me feel a little bit better by the sequence. Love Malakili. So there you go. Any thoughts, Joseph, on the crying Rancor?
Yes. I love Malakili as a character. I love the choice. I love the expansion of the character. I always disliked that moment emotionally as a kid. Whenever, I think it's 84, 85, whenever Return of the Jedi came out on VHS, we didn't have a VHS player, but for my birthday, we rented a VHS player and Return of the Jedi. And I remember Dad being like, be careful, this videotape's like... like $85. But we just rewound and watched Jabba's Palace again and again. And I, just as a kid, I think like I was so into the heroism of see how powerful Luke is, see how clever Luke is. And then as like a pet owner, I did not like how Malakili brought me back to reality. It made me feel a bit like I kind of just want to stay in hero worship of Luke Skywalker. I don't want to briefly bump into Luke Skywalker had to kill somebody's poodle, which is the vibe that Malakili gives. So even as a kid, I was like, well done. Wish it wasn't making me feel the things I have to feel now.
Look, complicated gray areas, right? Luke's a gray Jedi. He's a gray Jedi because of this. I'm with you though. Yeah, it does kind of put those thoughts in your head. I've never held Luke to the flames over that. You got to do what you got to do.
It's Jabba's fault.
It's Jabba's fault. It's Jabba's fault.
Jabba took this other sentient creature and made it a beast to perform for him.
Yeah. That's right. That's
I
right.
remember laughing as a kid at that moment. I thought it was funny because it was like,
It's
yay,
funny.
yay, the Rancor's dead, and also like that this tough guy was like really touched by it. I don't know why it made me chuckle, and then it made me go, "Aw." And I think every kid is different. Like my older daughter, when she saw it, she went, "Aw," immediately, and my younger daughter was kind of laughed a little bit. I don't know. It's just so funny how overcome he gets over this like beast and terrifying creature. And I don't know if George meant it to play for laughs, but it still to this day kind of makes me laugh.
I think it was meant to play for laughs in '83. That contrast between big, strong man and having emotions, and you think it's a big, awful beast, but it's his pet. There's a lot of just basic comedy contrast going there, and the way it's shot and performed makes you feel like the entire intent was a quick, cheap laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
At the expense of this vulnerable man who lost a loved one. Forgot.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, look, this is a sequence in which that famous behind-the-scenes clip of George going, he should just slurp up the Gamorrean guard like pasta. George is laughing all the way through this. But he is my number 9 choice, Malakili. And I remember being thrilled when the first Aftermath book brought Malakili back in one of those interludes. I absolutely loved everything about that there. All right. Ula, Malakili. These are some all-stars, Joseph, but you're up with your number 8 selection. You're first on the board.
Yeah, I think this is really, really hard, but I think I need to go with a more recent love, somebody I definitely noticed in the background as a kid, but not really focus on as much as he deserved to be focused on until we started doing ForceCenter and doing things like Databank Brawl, and eventually an action figure that blessedly came into my life, and that is Hermie Odal. Hermie Odal, look, there's some all-star, who's the weirdest, and maybe they'll make our list of, Amon and, Solid Marie, aka Yak Face, and all sorts of big winners for weirdest, grossest background weirdo at Jabba's palace. But when you learn that his name is Hermie Odal, he's a hunchback. With basically just a isthmus for a head, and then a slab of roast beef for a tongue that's just constantly hanging out. He's just beautiful. He's beautiful in how disgusting he is. And I found his action figure, which was in that 30th anniversary line of all the weirdest figures. And you could do weightlifting training with this figure. He's such a solid slab of plastic. The weight differential on that action figure to just a random Han action figure is hilarious. Hermie Odal is just one of those great extra gross background weirdos with a really cool weapon and a cool backstory in Legends, and
right. I love this choice. I think this is the spirit of the list, indeed. Just those things that really connect with you, and I love what you said too about the Databank Brawls back in the day, which are on the podcast feed only as our Databank Brawl Rewind series. Check them out. It's just to be able to years later go back and hyper focus on these characters that just lived in the backgrounds of our minds growing up. Love it. And Hermie Odal is, in the most wonderful way, I say, just kind of disgusting to look at a little bit, a little slobby, there's saliva going on. That's what I want in Jabba's palace. I celebrate that. Hermie is, and that figure is impressive indeed. Jen, did you grow up with a love or distaste for Hermie?
I don't think I even knew about him until we did our Databank Brawl. And then I was like, oh, right. Okay. But if you look at him up close, like you said, such a great description, roast beef tongue. And I like roast beef sandwiches. This is not it, guys. It's it's like dripping. It's disgusting. The action figure is much more pleasant to look at. Very solid. Didn't we say it could be used as something like a doorstopper or a weapon? I can't remember. It's just like a chunk of plastic.
Yeah, because I think we were doing the action figure fights for a little while, of which action figure would win in a fight, and Hermie Odal was definitely in that. Here's an entry from Wikipedia. The character was listed as number 26 on list of creatures being made for the film. which gave Hermie Odell as its production name, but also Hemi Maroid as a nickname.
Oh no.
Oh, I
No.
see what you did there.
No.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely just bonkers, beautiful, horrible, a beautiful creature.
That's amazing. And a perfect choice at number 8. I didn't have the figure. Maybe still one day I'll get the figure. Maybe. Just keep it in your pocket as a weapon if you need it in times of trouble.
Your pants are going to be baggy because, again.
Oh my gosh. Wait.
All right, that's 8. Jen,
shoot.
we're up to number 7.
All right. I'm readjusting things on the fly because Hermie threw me here. I got to make sure that my girl is on the list. Size Noodles. She should be higher for me, but I don't know where we're going. So I got to make her. I got to get her on this list. And I'm not talking about the special edition one. It has to be puppet Size Noodles original.
You don't like that?
OG. I hate that. I don't hate a lot of things. I hate the way that her lips get animated in the special editions. No, give me puppet gyrating with a mic stand. That is classic Star Wars. And it really is like, she just seems like a dirty lady. You know what I mean? Like she's raunchy. She's going to tell you a dirty joke, right?
She's brassy.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of cocktail she would drink, but it'd be something good, something stiff, a stiff cocktail.
Cocktail might be a Mick Ultra.
A rusty vibro knife, probably.
Yeah. She's a broad, right? And that's like,
yes,
survive in Jabba's palace. The animated one, she'd be gone in 2 seconds in that palace. But the puppet, man.
Do you have, and maybe unfair question if I'm putting you on the spot, do you have a relationship with the Clone Wars episode with her? It's okay if you don't, because a lot of people probably haven't seen the episode, and it's.
I'm conflicted.
I'm with Jen. I think that this is a whole going back to the high quality of Lefty Neck being like, yes, a sort of a late night lounge act. Not a big Vegas act like Jedi Rocks. And there is a quality to her that she could have. The Clone Wars animated episode, it kind of does portray her as like a chanteuse, like a little bit of a vamp, like she's her species version of like a real knockout sex symbol pop star, is the way that she's played. But I agree with in the original Return of the Jedi release. Yeah, she's like a 45-year-old who's missing teeth, who gets in bar fights and is still sexy and has flings, but not like the young, hot 20-something pop star. But the
Yeah. Wasn't her voice in the Clone Wars like, how is it? Like, oh, baby. Like, isn't it like something like kind of like almost.
How was that again?
Oh,
How was it, Jen?
Oh, like that. You know what I mean?
I could be remembering wrong, but I just was like horrified. I'm like, that's not her. Like, Sai would have like, hey, listen here. Like, I don't know, something deeper and raspier. She like smokes cigarettes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. She's a 4-pack a day gal.
Yeah. Death sticks. Yes, exactly. So I don't know. It's got to be the OG.
I'm with you. This is a great choice. I like her on this list. Again, we got some all-stars, which I expect nothing less in terms of that. And I love a little bit as a kid. It was a fun creature character there, and great band. Loved it. Not leaving the Jedi Rocks conversation out of this, but as a kid, I loved Sai. And I loved knowing Sai Snoodle's name. That was one of those early trivia answers as a kid on the playground. You're like, well, Sai. And it got you some points for a competition no one was really in. But I loved kind of learning a little bit later on, getting the lyric translation of Lefty Neck. Well, Johnny Williams working on that, brassy, broad, truck stop. I appreciate that more and more.
Yeah, and I really do appreciate her keeping time with her foot back in '83, the puppet, feeling like I know it's a puppet, but I can see its feet moving. Still seem like, what will the world make possible next? This is like Moonflight. The technology involved to have an actual puppet be keeping the time with her foot, amazing.
It's up there with Muppets riding
Yep,
bicycles,
Oh.
that's exactly what I was thinking of. Like, what brave new world where we can see their feet?
You kids these days won't know what it's like to be in a theater and watching a Muppet ride a bike for the first time.
We're like, oh, puppets moving feet, and now it's like, Chat GBT is gonna take over the world. Very different.
Not if Size Noodles is there.
Nope.
Not if Size Noodles is
She's
there.
a broad who would not use AI, I think.
There you go. Great choice. Got us talking. Got us laughing. Love it. Size Noodles at number 7. Means I'm going to go to number 6. And holy moly, man. This seems almost like a letdown, but I've got to, I have to go with this one. Because it truly, it's got action figure legacy for me. It's one of those things, especially early on in Jedi Alliance, ForceCenter, Jedi Council days. It's one of those characters I was like, it was almost my Jabba's Palace version of the Y-Wing. But the character has a name, but I didn't really know that till later, because a lot of us just didn't know that till later. I called him Weequay for a long time, because that was what was on the counter package, but it's Spaghetti Rook, who is the Weequay on the Skiff. I think he's the one I most associate with being on the Skiff. He's got kind of the blue undershirt. It's a real pretty blue, a powder blue, a periwinkle maybe even, and the brown kind of almost like hard-boiled. He's very medieval. He's got the long hair on one side in braids. He's just got the look of another day at the office. And it's one of those things of I had the figure early on, for no real reason. It just probably was my mom and dad did the Kenny needs Star Wars figures for Christmas. Here's one type of thing. And you form a bond with it, right? That's why over the years I fell in love with the Y-Wing. That was the ship I got. My friend had the X-Wing. I had the Y-Wing. And having that Weequay in my hands, it just made me love him. And every time I love just seeing him, and it takes me back to playing with the figures in my backyard as a kid. So he's not as talented. He's just an everyday blue collar Weequay working the Skiff. But for me, he's an absolute favorite. When I think of Jabba's Palace, I think of Spaghetti Rook there. So Joseph, did you have the figure? Did you love him?
Yes and no. As I've said many times, my brother and I had our distinct figures, and then we would line them up, and sometimes I would get to play with his, and vice versa. So he was a Weequay guy, as we knew him at the time. But I loved that figure, so I spent a lot of time staring at it. I loved that it was molded differently to hold the different weapon, but his hand was kind of molded, kind of open like this and up. So if you took away his weapon, it looked like he was just shredding guitar. But I always loved him because he was kind of like, I think the most prominent, certainly on the Skiff.
Yes.
In the most number of shots, and the one doing the prodding, right?
Yeah, he comes off as like a shift supervisor or a mid-manager. He runs that Skiff.
He runs that Skiff. Yeah.
Love it. Jen, Spaghetti Rook.
Oh, I love it. And I love it because I used to get the Clatunians and the Weekways, even though they're very distinct looking, I used to get them confused. But just the fact that they had this Weequay being like in charge, like the fact is just like, it's not a human, it's an alien. That's what I love about Return of the Jedi, is that aliens everywhere. And this one in particular with his braid, just really seems very scary. I love it.
Yeah, intense young man, or tense old man, I would say, middle-aged man. I don't know. I think he's worked a little bit. He's like a year or two away from retirement. That's probably his last thought he had before he perished. Or did he? There's still time to bring him back. So yeah. He might have been a better number 10. I don't want to. Is he better than Ula? But this isn't about better. It's about favorites and where they fall. So I'm going to stand by it. I'm not going to talk myself out of it. It's out there. It's in the open. We've already discussed. But Joseph, you're going to take us into the top 5 of our favorite characters in Jabba's Palace.
And I'm going to follow you, Ken. And I think my next one we'll see how we're doing when we get to the last ones. Of if we need to keep it personal, keep it weird, or if there's some danger categories where like we need this person in. So I'm going to keep it personal and real and associated with my youth, which means that my number 5 is Woof. Now, this is I didn't expect this episode to be so much, back in 1983, kids. But I only recently became aware of the name Woof, because this character was always Klaatu of Klaatu Barada Nikto, the three aliens named after the famous phrase from the day the Earth stood still, and one of the little cultural landmines that the creators of Return of the Jedi put into Return of the Jedi to shout out something science fiction they loved when they grew up, but it worked successfully as a time bomb. Klaatu Barada Nikto sounded so cool in my dad or somebody told my brother and I, oh, that's actually from the day the Earth stood still. So the next time the day the Earth stood still was on like Saturday afternoon television, we watched it because of Return of the Jedi, because of Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Right.
And, you know, the Legends comes along and then the Disney acquisition comes along and names get caught up. And I'm like, I had my Klaatu action figure and I had my Klaatu in his different outfit for the Skiff. And then at some point I'm told that there's an absolute who's on first, that like, well,
Yeah.
Klaatu was a name, but now there's a species called Klaatuinians. Like, okay, is Klaatu a Klaatuinian? No, he's a Nikto. But Nikto was a guy. No, Nikto is a species now. I'm like, the hell have you done, people? It was Klaatu Barada Nikto, and they were people. Of course, none of it matters, because then when I was like, all right, fine. What is the character that I have known for years as Klaatu? What's it called? Woof. Which is how I feel about the whole naming convention change, so it all works out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeesh.
Yes. Barada's now yeesh would be, I would be thrilled.
Yeesh.
I'm still confused.
Yeah. No. And it's great. And I'm looking up. So I went to Wikipedia as one does, and it takes even on Wikipedia you have to like go to Legends to get Woof, but on canon and it's Klaatu and it's so. But what I love about Woof, I believe because he's in Jabba's throne room and he's got his hands going forward. Isn't he on the Luke Skywalker packaging?
Yes, and this is one of the reasons that I loved him. He's in the promo shots and on his own card where he's got the creepy, almost Dracula hands, where it's like a real sort of like, he isn't just like an alien in the background. He's really getting into like in the promo shots, this sort of universal monster vibe with the claw hands in all the promo shots and the trading cards or whatever. I don't know who was in there who was just like, let me go crazy with my hands. But that was what drew me to him. And then the actual action figure was just, it was so well made. He had the little sort of, he had the cloth sort of dress overlay to his pants, which was really cool. I thought the name Klaatu was so cool. The helmet is really cool. He's got that scary monster face and the claws. Yeah. He was sort of like a werewolf meets a space alien to me. Which maybe, and I think in canon now, Woof and Klaatu are two separate characters. Anyway, I like Woof. I like the one with the claws in the palace.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's also impossible to say they're separate. I don't think it would hold up in a court of Star Wars. Also, great shots on Wikipedia of he goes and meets his destiny up on the top when Luke pulls out his saber. And there's a great shot that doesn't look screen worthy. It looks like it was someone took a camera and just shot it while they were shooting the film. And you see that he's got a sensible pant with some elastic around his feet, and it looks great in the most B movie Star Warsy way. I love it. Yeah, this is a great choice, Woof. And for those spelling at home, it is Woof, WOOF.
Yeah, and my brother had Weequay and I had Klaatu, and we were like, fighting over who was the coolest, and it's Klaatu.
Yeah, this is good.
Right.
This is good. This is why I was confused. The Nikto, Klaatunians, Klaatu, Weequay. I just know that they all looked great. Yeah.
It's a lot, without a doubt. But they all look great. Yeah, you're right. Great figures, all of them across the board. Great figures, fun to collect. Great number 5. I think that represents a lot of things we love about the sequence in Jabba's palace, and again the skiffs and the sail barge, the katana, they count as well here for this. But Jen, big one here. You are taking us up to number 4.
All right, this has to be here. I would put him at number 1, but I won't do that. For all of you at home or at work watching this, because you would probably be like, what? That's absurd.
Okay.
I've talked about him ad nauseum. I love him with all my heart. I have a puppet of him. I have a little action figure of him. I almost dressed up as him recently. But there's nothing, if you were just to play just that laugh, oh my gosh, it's just like, it just warms my heart. Salacious B, Crumb, Quacking Monkey Lizard. Just that little scamp has to be at number 4. I would put him at number 1, like I said, but I just have, it's nostalgia. It's that even now, like he's cute, but he's like a rat, and he's mean, but he's also funny. He's a comic, and that's that's why I love him.
I mean,
he's a little court jester, yeah.
Yeah, he's a little comic from the 80s.
Yeah.
I've never heard him described like a chihuahua before, but yes, you're just describing it perfectly.
That is, yeah, I used to have a chihuahua. There you go.
Look, this could be, there could be a case for Sally being number 1. I think there absolutely could be a case. He's top 5 for sure. He's a legend. He's an absolute legend. And speaking of, the Malakili and the Rancor undercutting a little bit of that sequence in a way emotionally, like you said, Joseph, there was a little bit of things where like, yeah, Sally B was a little bleep, but I always liked him. So I wasn't rooting for him, but I just wasn't rooting against him as a kid.
I love this. Salacious B. Crumb would be my number 1. I think he deserves number 1 status by far. He was my favorite as a kid. And, I was so happy when he came with the Jabba set. He was a little bit of an inaction figure because he couldn't actually move. He was molded to sit well, but he had a fantastic tail. But yeah, I think there's something about, he was like Dark Yoda. I've often described kids liking Yoda, and I like Yoda because I think I sensed that, he was secretly like me. Nobody took him seriously, but he was actually smarter than people gave him credit for, and he was funny and wise and kind. And Salacious B. Crumb kind of has that same vibe of he's like little guy that people aren't paying attention to, but he's just a little bleeper. He's like, you know what? If I misbehaved at the mall, that would be like Salacious B. Crumb vibes, Performed with so much personality. One of my favorite shots from Return of the Jedi is him watching Jabba's tail go back.
Yes.
So legitimately fascinated with his guy that he's watching the tail. And I remember like a day where I was like, again, I'm just trying to enjoy Luke Skywalker being a hero. And like, wait a minute, did Salacious B. Crumb blow up? When they blew up the sail barge, like, and I was like, that's unacceptable. No, he got out. He got out.
Found a way.
He got out. He found a way. Yeah.
Life finds a way. God, that's amazing. Yeah. Sally B. I mean, universally loved. I don't think I've run into anyone. I've run into people who don't have maybe strong opinions for Sally B, but I think generally he's appreciated by many generations. He's a hero. Jen, how many you have? Do you have the one that they sold at Galaxy's Edge? Did you get that one?
I do. Yeah, the one that sits on your shoulder.
Yeah.
The saddest thing was I used to have this clock, a Salacious B. Crumb clock that I got at Star Wars Celebration, and I think my daughter broke it, and I couldn't ever repair it. It was pretty toast, but it was such a cool clock. It was I think like the tail used to move or something. Oh, it was so cool.
Man, I don't think we've even seen that.
Yeah.
We got to start a campaign out there in ForceCenter land. Get Jen that clock. Can we find that clock? Can we reunite her with the clock?
Yeah, the other thing I got to say for Salacious B. Crumb, because I'm in the midst of editing the film I'm working on, his laugh is great by itself, but they use it so well as a button to individual mini scenes within Jabba's palace. It's man, if you ever write a movie, add a weird character who laughs because it'll help you with your edit.
Everyone focuses on the wipes, right? But George also had that Sally B laugh. You're right. Yeah. He does factor in a little bit. Oh, that's great. It's great. Yeah, could have been number 1. Maybe you out there think he should have been number 1, but we got 3 more choices to get through here. So Salacious B. Crumb will be followed by number 3 for me, and this comes into that, man, do I trust you all to get there, or do I go with my heart?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
There's
Don't
one
do it.
that's number one that I think we all are feeling. We better.
I mean, there's two, there's three.
Ugh.
All right. I'm going to go with one of the ones that scared me, terrified me, mesmerized me. And then I'm also excited that they eventually became a bartender. I'm talking about Evie 99. We're going down to the pits of Jabba's palace. Evie 99, she was in charge of all the droids down there and tormenting the droids and dismembering the droids and put them into service, to say lightly. And I was fascinated with that. I was fascinated with the design and fascinated with the voice. Where I certainly can't nail it like I believe Mark Hamill did in The Mandalorian, but I love everything about it. You're a protocol droid, are you not? I used to just do that on the playground. It was terrifying to me because also you love R2. And you love Gonky, the Gonk droid, before you knew that Gonky would be a name. And that watching that one get tortured, that whole sequence going down there. And again, going back to my youth of just like not sure what's going to happen. In my mind, there's no plot armor around 3PO and R2. They're going down there maybe to never be heard from again. So I just was, and 3PO and R2, they're nice Laurel and Hardy designs, and they're friendly. And 3PO's this golden droid, and R2's just a great little friend-sized droid. And then to see this like kind of skeletal. Mouth flapping down below the beady eyes. Everything about EV-99 kind of represents the dark side of Jabba's palace, as if the top side is just light and fluffy. But it's down in the catacombs. It's everything. That sequence with the Gamorrean guard hitting like the snoot or the snake kind of limb back. I was terrified. I was terrified by this whole sequence as a kid because I was a little scaredy cat. But love EV-99, and I love that EV-99 eventually runs a bar, or at least bartends, has a couple shifts at a bar that used to not allow droids in The Mandalorian. So I'm happy with that as well. EV-99 at my number 3 choice there. Jen, is that work for you? Is that better than Sally B? Maybe not, but here we are.
It's so memorable. And that actually scared me as a kid because I was like, oh, that could be the future where droids rule and want to torture, kind people and other droids, just following orders, Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I love it. It still holds up today and it still terrifies children, as I learned when my kids watched it.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
They did not like that. They felt it was cruel. Right? It's
yeah.
It's all cool.
No. Yeah.
It's so horrible. It's so horrible. Yeah.
Though as a kid, I was always like, I don't think it actually touches its feet. There's a little gap. I think it's just the heat. It's just the heat.
It's just the heat. I like the EV-99 choice. The scene scared me and bummed me out when I was a kid in a good way, the way it's meant to. I was always fascinated with EV-99 because that voice, and also the older you get, realizing, well, they made a choice to let that droid talk for a long time. Like, this is the last movie in a trilogy, and real estate is precious. Yeah. And they're letting EV-99 take his sweet ass time, and I think you'll fit in nicely. It's and then the other thing, when the special editions were coming out, I was like, there are some things to tweak, like how EV-99's mouth doesn't quite match the words. I bet they'll fix that. I'm like, nope. So now I embrace it as a part of the canon that it's like, in a droid edition where like, those protocol droids with 3PO don't have any moving mouth parts, so you can't tell if it's synced up. But now we got droids with flapping metal lips. Don't quite work right, but try it.
Flapping metal lips open for Fear in 1981 and last week in Palmdale.
That's funny.
Because you could have easily, you could have kept that mouth shut and just maybe put a light that went bam, bam, But there's something I like about the almost Crow T robot Tom Servo kind of vibes going on there.
Yes.
There we go. All right, EV-99 number 3. Joseph's number 2. Jen's number 1. Joseph, you got your final one on the board. Be careful if you go into an area where Jen doesn't want you to go. She'll let you know.
Yeah.
She'll let you know.
So I think I know the one that Jen needs at number 1.
Yeah, it has to be.
Okay.
It has
Then
to
so
be.
then this is the last. Oh Lord!
Yeah,
All
I
right, you know
know.
what? I think this is really hard. We'll list some of the people who didn't make it, right?
Ooh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So in there
I got a few.
there's a couple here, but I'm going to choose chaos.
You're gonna choose chaos?
I'm going to choose chaos. I'm going to choose violence in my choice.
Wait, what? Oh shoot, because there's two that could have been good back to backs. Okay, now all right, all right.
I know, and
Okay.
Oh
and
no.
one is close for me, but I'm going to do this to keep it interesting because it's true. My number 2 is going to be Rystáll Sant. I'm so sorry, Jen.
Wow.
Dude, we failed,
Wow.
you guys. I'm realizing now as I'm looking at this. Oh, I shoot. What was I thinking?
I will
Oh,
list many of the people that I want to be on the list. I think one of them
Mhm.
Jennifer is going to take care of. There's one that breaks my heart that didn't make the list. But here's the deal with Rystáll Sant. As much as
Mhm.
I think Lapti Neck is a much better song, it's a much better vibe. Every time the trio of backup singers comes on, like there is a vibe there I like. I think they're the most successful part of Jedi Rocks. Grieta is a a little that old school. We should include ladies by adding an A at the end of a male name. Like that's not a great
Mhm.
legacy of the
Mhm.
1980s.
Mhm.
But Rystáll Sant has her own vibe, her own
Mhm.
energy. She features well in the special edition with the scenes with Boba Fett of the little bit of flirting going on. And then she
Mhm.
gives rise to this whole Thelan species that goes on. I know she's half Thelan, but goes on to be
Mhm.
like kind of one of the more popular species
Mhm.
in Star Wars these days. And it all starts with this
Yeah.
backup singer in a big Vegas number that George Lucas put in. And I think we've been doing a lot of back in the day. We've been doing a lot of 1983.
Mhm.
There are a ton of people
Mhm.
who have never seen it, right? Because you kind of got to work to find it these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for them, Rystáll Sant has always been there. She's always been a part of it.
Mhm.
So it's a shout out to those people as well. Uh, but
Mhm.
I really do like her. I like her vibe.
And she appeared in Revenge of the Sith.
did she?
Did I? I'm seeing this.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
She's at the Galaxy's Opera House officially.
What?
Okay.
Sorry.
No. Why is she
All
there?
right. She
I,
she appreciates all the arts, high and low.
Mhm.
I look. I love this. This is a thermal detonator in the center of the list here in a fun way. So Jen, we'll get your thoughts here. But one of the biggest things about your pick here that I do agree when you stop and think about it is this was the first of a species, half species, like you said here in the description, that does go on to factor in a lot of other characters going forward that we like or celebrate or just talk about. And that's one of the things about the special editions. I think that shows up every now and then, through the special editions where, where'd that come from? Special editions. Or sometimes even like early EU legend stuff where I can kind of go, I don't like that. Oh, that book that I make fun of gave us Witches of Dathomir and stuff.
Mhm.
I love that kind of stuff. I think it's important even to remind myself to pull back sometimes. So I love that. And yeah, look, yeah, we've talked about Jedi Rocks here and in the past, and I'm sure we will again. But I do think that tracks for Jabba.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, like for Jabba's, all his bad traits and the few good traits. He does love his stinky muffin puffin kid. But having background singers, it kind of speaks to the entertainment industry in Star Wars, and I can celebrate that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was going to be upset with this choice, but now that I love it. It's so weird, and the character is really for me is like representative of the 1980s like weirdness. Kind of reminds me of
Mhm.
like Gem and the Holograms and like the Misfits. There's just something very like
Yeah.
stylized
Yeah.
and animated about her. And I never noticed this before. Well, first of all, I just love the color scheme, that fiery red hair and the
Mhm.
the leopard kind of spots, but her feet,
Hmm.
I have never noticed this before. She has like dinosaur feet. It is really bizarre, and I love it.
Yeah,
I
are you on
love
like a
it.
website of like Star Wars feet?
It
Star Wars
right,
wiki feed.
exactly. No, it's a Legends Wiki Star Wars Amino, and it's just this full-length shot of her in this bodysuit and then these dinosaur feet.
You're right. In the
Look it up.
action figure from back in the day.
I never
And
noticed
hoofed,
that.
yes. It's looking to hear Wikipedia personality traits and had hooved feet.
My Lord.
They
That's
look like
beautiful.
dinosaur feet.
The action figure I'm going to have to track down.
Ah, it's so cool.
I might have had her back in the day.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and just reading the description here. Sant and the other members of the band were impressed that Skywalker had killed the Rancor. Impressive. I like that. Great figure too, part of that collection there.
Yep.
And again, controversial. That's why we do this there. So Rystáll Sant at number 2, Jen, which means the field is wide open for you to put in your number 1 choice, unless we already took Paghetti Rook or Hermione from you.
Okay. My number 2 would have been Bib Fortuna, but I love that you chose Rystáll Sant.
Mm-hmm.
Great choice. So I'm taking Bib off the table just because a lot of people are repulsed by him, as I've learned. Yeah, people are really creeped out by him. He's not as beloved as one might think. I
don't think I grew up thinking a lot of people loved him. I like him.
He's so annoying and mean and whatever. Okay, I have.
You're like the creepy guy who strokes R2? Yeah.
I have a micro machine of the head, and it's like I just don't like it. I have it.
I'll tell you why. He's a little wet.
He's a little sluggy, wormy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So take him off the table. This character has to be number 1. I think we're all thinking he has withstood the test of time. He has entered recently into conversation because he supposedly had no arms. He was playing his organ with his legs, which just seems weird. We've talked about his butt. This character is 100% beloved, and he has to be number 1. And his name is Max Rebo.
I mean, for a second, I thought Droopy McCool was going to make the list, but it's Max. It's Max. It's Max Rebo. I'll let you state more of your case here. There's no need to state a case. It's a winner. I also think he could have been the number 1, and still might be the number 1 character in Garza Fwip's Sanctuary as well. Part of the joy here. Jen, Max Rebo. More. Take it away.
I just loved what I thought were his fingers, like his sausage like fingers that were like not like articulating, with the organ. It was just like this. I just loved that. Because I grew up playing the piano. Mm-hmm. My piano teacher used to hit my hand and she'd be like, curve your fingers. Max didn't curve his fingers, and he did a fabulous job. I just love that. And also because, he had a keyboard, and I played the keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
Did you play an 8-ball organ?
Yeah. I played the keyboard piano.
Look, everything about it. Yeah, Max. When you think of Max, joy enters your heart. Mm-hmm. Joy enters your heart. And his return at Book of Boba Fett was... I mean, I have the Brian Ward shirt to hit it, play again, Max, or hit it, Max. I love everything about this guy. Didn't spend a lot of time in my youth thinking about his butt and or arms. I just celebrated the character that was in figure form. No, I never had it. I still think I need a Max.
It's good. It fits right into his little organ. It's downstairs. I think I've shown you guys before.
Yeah, that set was phenomenal. Slice Snooze came with her microphone and Droopy McCool, and so good. And to pluck Max Rebo out and see wearing a big diaper thing. Great. I think this is how we should introduce the number 1 on our list now forever, the way Jennifer did. We know him, we love him, we've talked about his butt. At number 1, it's Max Rebo.
I know.
Plays clubs and colleges all around. Please welcome the very funny Max Rebo.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking of his return. I mean, I spent an entire life thinking Max had died. Mm-hmm. I still don't know how I don't want to know how he got out. I think he knew.
He escaped with Salacious. Yep.
Joseph we love the Sanctuary because they got the Astromech drummer. We love Max here. There's really no case against it here.
No.
Thoughts on Max?
Yeah, no. I going through the list is like, oh, Jennifer has a number one in mind. It's got to be Max. So yeah, I do not disagree with that. I think he's performing well. He's got a great mood. The finger up, really just enjoying the music, just having a good time. The fact that he's always reminded me of like. I don't feel like you hear the phrase as much now, but there was this sort of like, what are you, disconnected reality? You seeing pink elephants? Like he had that sort of fantasy vibe of like, he's not real. When adults tell me that I'm not well and I'm seeing pink elephants, I'm really seeing a blue elephant in Max Rebo. So.
Playing an organ.
Love it. Yeah, not much more can be said about Max. It hasn't already been said through the ages, but we'll continue to talk and celebrate him there. So he is our number one choice. Our list so far, it's complete now. We'll get to some honorable mentions. Ula, Malakili, Hermie Odal, Size Noodles, Spaghetti Rook, Woof, a.k.a. Clat, Sally B, Salacious B, Crumb, EV99, Rystáll Sant, and Max Rebo, Jabba in the Hall of Fame. Bib Fortuna, you could almost put him in the Hall of Fame. They're a package deal a little bit there. Bib I think I might have put Bib at number 2. Max would have been my number 1 as well. Droopy's high on the list too, just because of that name, but didn't make my list. One close option for me that I almost put early, but I got to tell you, Jen, when you dropped Ula, that kind of raised the bar. Is the character of Beto, which is the Rhodian that, it's Greedo with a Hoth rebel vest on. But it was the card, the Topps trading card, had a clear shot. It had a Beto card. And as a kid, I just was obsessed with that card and obsessed that it's kind of the expanded universe come to play early on where you're just like, oh, there's all these possibilities and all these characters. And I know Star Wars has this reputation. I just ran into the other day where a friend of mine made a joke about, have they made a story of that rebel on Yavin who's watching the X-Wings? I was like, yeah. He's got a short story in a book. Yes, they have. So that's part of Star Wars reputation. But Greedo, Beto, and then you could go to the playground and be like, do you know Greedo had a cousin named Beto? And it carries on with. We got Bib, and then we got Beezer, Fortuna. Like, I love it, and I always loved that card. It was one of my favorite things about the Palace. So that was some of the close ones for me. But Joseph, where do you go?
Yeah, I mean, Beto's great. Droopy came very close to making my list. Rystáll almost got bumped for Droopy. The name is amazing, and the fact that they're like, what if he's just got shorts? Droopy needs to breathe. So there's that. The one I'm shocked didn't make the list that I thought Ken would put on, but I know it's difficult, is the Bowmar Monk. The Bowmar Monk's really high up there.
It's on the bottom of the list. Yes.
Really super creepy spider thing, and then you learn the more that they're the original owners of that monastery, and that they're advanced beings that keep their brain in a jar. They're great.
That went from something that freaked me out as a kid and that I thought I dreamed. Like, was there a spider robot? And then it got more creepier as you get older and find out, it's a floating brain in there from Monk.
Yeah, so Bowmar Monk, and then a couple others that I love the look of, but I was also more fascinated with them because I just only recently managed to track down their names. Do Allen is the dude with the helmet that Chewie pushes down the stairs, and that helmet has always looked cool to me. And the weird tongue thing hanging into a few shots is the snail-like creature Goel. So that was the one that, because I think it was only like, I don't know, a few years ago, I was like, what's that tongue? How have I never been just fixating only on that tongue that's in this shot? So.
Yeah, I just saw a photo today of that there. One other for me that I definitely would want to mention, both Jen, you might as well. Yarna Dal Gargan, which is the other dancer with Ula, and always loved just her presence. Look, it's a party there. It's a deadly party. It's a horrible party, but she's having fun.
I love Yarna, and I love that she's kind of doing her own thing. She's just like in the moment, enjoying herself.
She's the aunt at the wedding in the corner of the dance floor. Exactly. Don't you mess with Aunt Yarna. She's doing her thing.
Yes. One species, and I don't know specifically which one, which Gamorrean guard. The Gamorrean guards I love so much. I loved them as a kid. I loved when they came back in the Book of Boba Fett in a new buff form. And I just think it's such a great species, and the fact that it made like pig-like sounds, like it's just genius. All of it, perfect.
I'm glad you addressed that. I too thought of like, do you go? There's a lot of legends names, and that you can get a little lost in the weed on that. But yeah, the Gamorrean as a whole, as a species in there, works for me, and including the taller ones in Mandalorian.
I was tempted by Jubnuk specifically, the one who gets eaten. It's a good performance from Jubnuk.
Or slurped up like pasta, as George would want you to. That's a great choice, Jen. Any others big ones on your list?
Oh, I looked at my slides from my swallowing disorder class. I'm esophageal. No, that's not in Jabba's palace.
Yeah, so esophageal was on the skiff. You didn't see it?
No, that's it. Yarna and Gamorrean.
Rees is another one I wanted to put down. Out of just almost the figures, figure figures. All right, there you go. Joseph, any others on your list that you haven't mentioned?
No, I'll just give Rees a shout out for having a great comedy take when he's so into the Rancor fight and then it goes south and he has the...
He does. Yes, there's a lot of those characters there. All right. Well, we've done it. We've probably, I know, without a doubt, have created some controversy and questions. And that's, I'm not going to say that's the point. This is an engagement bait. We're listing from our hearts here. But we want you to list yours. No need to get mad at ours. List yours down below if you're watching on YouTube or in the Discord, through our Patreon page. Add to the conversation there or on social media. It's always fun here. So, we'll do this again. There's other places. Wait, maybe we will get to that sanctuary. Maybe we will get to the Outrider Club. I love doing these characters by location. It's kind of fun because it forces us to focus and see tongue characters hanging from the wall that you haven't seen for years there. All right. Any final thoughts, Joseph, on Jabba's Palace?
I'm going to spend the rest of the day trying not to buy action figures. That's my final thought. Because when you go deep, there's so many beautiful weirdos to collect.
There is. Jen, get that Hermiodal today. Final thoughts on a place in Star Wars
Oh, I just love this. This is my all-time favorite sequence of scenes in Star Wars. 100% is what I put on just randomly. I think about it often. Everything except for Joe Yowza.
But even then, you're thinking about it. All right, there you go. That's it. You can find us on social media, especially Blue Sky at ForceCenter Pod. You can get merch at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter or at the Fourth Wall Shop. Links down below on YouTube. Hey, like this video, leave a nice comment, all those good things as we continue to grow Force Center here on YouTube. And you can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Get in the Discord and join this conversation. It's going to be a fun one. Follow me at CatNapsock or go to my website, catnapsock.com, to link to things like show dates, my shop where you can get personalized copies of my book. All those wonderful things are there. Joseph, while you're getting back to editing, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Blue Sky, and you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com, to get links to all the film stuff I'm working on, the films I've put out already, like The Nightmare Adorable, and to my blog, Finish Your Monsters.
There you go. Jen, take us home where they can find and follow you and all the videos that you've made over the years that pay homage and respect to these weird, wonderful characters we love.
That's right. For my political musings, you can go to Blue Sky at Jennifer Landa. For all things Star Wars, weird 80s pop culture, at Jennifer Landa on Instagram and TikTok at Jennifer Landa 1138.
There you go. A lot of fun. Controversies to be had and talked about everywhere. But we'll see you next time. Star Wars has been ranked.